with the first pick.
Thunderstruck! Thunderstruck! Yeah, Thunderstruck!
Welcome to the Fantasy Rant. Messed it up 2 weeks in a row. Let's go. We'll try it one more time. Welcome to the Fantasy Rant podcast. I am Dan Baker, accompanied by my fellow podcast hosts, Evan Gooding and Mason Beck. Here we'll be discussing all things fantasy football, trades, lineup decisions, mock drafts, and more here on Fantasy Rant. On today's episode, we'll cover news around the league, and we're going to get right into a mock draft. Pumped for you guys to see this. It should be a lot of fun. But before we dive into the news, I'd like to say thank you to everyone tuning in to this Stadium Rant original. If you like our content, you should subscribe to our free newsletter, which will include exclusive interviews, articles of the week, and more. You can sign up at StadiumRant.com. All right, Mason, without further ado, what do we got for the news?
All right, so there was nothing really groundbreaking this week. It was pretty subtle for news. So we're just got a couple things to go over. The first one we're going to talk about is DeVante Parker signing a 3-year contract worth up to $33 million with 14 guaranteed. They went and got Juju as well. So they're obviously feeling a little more confident at the receiver core with those two guys. But how are you guys thinking that really affects the fantasy market and guys like Tyquan Thornton as well?
So I think DeVante Parker is I just can't believe that they signed him in the first place. I know that the guaranteed money's pretty low. Sounds like it could be basically a 2-year, $14 million with the guaranteed money. Then they could get out of it pretty easily. I just don't see why they're bringing in this guy for another 3 years potentially. So according to Player Profiler, he averaged 1.11 yards of separation between him and the designated cornerback that's covering him or whoever's covering him. That was 101st in the NFL. That's pretty rough. If you're not creating a lot of separation between your wide receivers, you got small windows. He is a contested catch wide receiver, but they could go and get somebody so much better for the amount of money they spent on him.
Yeah, I totally agree. It honestly reminds me of the Aguilar signing that they did last year. Just this crazy, weird sign.
They never learned.
Completely out of left field that nobody could predict. But I think it definitely affects Thornton though. I thought he had a sliver of a chance still too, but they did draft 2 wide receivers in the 6th round this past year, both of which have some potential as well, and have gotten some praise. But so I think that when it comes to that receiver room, it's just going to be an absolute mess and a disaster, just like the running back room.
Yeah, I disagree with the running back room. Sorry, I had to say that. Go ahead, Mason.
No, you're good. No, I have to completely agree. I think the receiver room's a mess. DeVante Parker was nothing solid at all last year. And the addition of Juju is going to take even more targets. They got Gesicki. They got two rookies, like you said. I think that receiver room, it's up for grabs. We know how Belichick rolls. There's not going to be a, wide receiver one every week. Jacoby was kind of the wide receiver one there, and he still never was reliable. I think the big takeaway from it is just they don't have faith in Tyquan Thornton at all. I think he's on my do not draft list.
Yes, sir. The one thing we should touch on really quickly before we move on to the next piece is that there was a report from a Patriots salary cap expert, Miguel Benzin. He said that this is not going to take away their chances from getting DeAndre Hopkins. It wasn't specified enough, the details on this signing, but he did say that it actually freed up cap space for them this year. So they're still in the running. They've already reported that they're still trying to go after DeAndre Hopkins. As a Hopkins dynasty manager, I am hoping he doesn't go there. But, that's neither here or there.
I think just that added report just shows so much more uncertainty that there's nobody in that locker room, on the wide receiver room, that they really have faith in.
Yeah.
If they're still going after people and they've added 4 wide receivers this offseason,
right. Yeah, I think Juju's still a decent buy low candidate. Like if Hopkins doesn't end up there, he's still going to get easily 100 plus targets.
Yeah.
Um, they're just not going to be high value targets. I Jacoby Myers, he's a fine back end wide receiver 3, but that's about all I see Juju being. But you could probably get him for a lower price than that wide receiver 3 tag right now.
He'll get some red zone targets, though, and I think that'll take away a little bit more from Stevenson in the run game if he does go there.
You're just so anti Stevenson, man.
Mhm.
We'll
Nope.
touch on that next episode with our running back rankings.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. You better come ready.
Me too.
All right.
All right.
And then to kind of keep on the running back topic, there's a video emerged of Miles Sanders talking to GM Scott Fitterer and head coach Frank Reich, where they were talking about him catching more passes and getting back to his rookie season where he caught 50 plus passes. I think this would just skyrocket his value so much more. I think he could potentially be a top 12 running back if he's catching 50 passes in the season.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, last year he finished as the RB15 in PPR, and he only had 20 receptions and 88 yards off of those 20 receptions. Like 20 receptions is less than what Nick Chubb had, and he's always devalued because everyone says he doesn't catch passes. So yeah, I looked it up. If he just doubled last year's receptions and yardage, which seems easy to do based on the reports they're saying, he would have ended up as the running back 9 instead of the running back 15. And he's freshly turned 26 years old. So I also see that there's a lot of value for Miles Sanders. I think that you could go and trade maybe an early second and maybe even get him right now. People still aren't high on him despite him being, I think, clearly the lead dog.
I think that's actually because he's on Carolina. Nobody has faith in that team. But CMC killed it on a crappy team for years. So.
Right? And they ran the ball well last year.
He did. And the thing I loved about that placement that he got on this team is most teams are going like 1A, 1B. He has like the biggest drop off for me when it comes to the next available guy. In terms of talent, he's got a big talent gap between him and who do they have? Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah. Rasheem Blackshear. Yeah.
So that's the biggest drop off between backup running back I could see. So if there's anybody that has potential for like bell cow work, I think that he's primed up for that bell cow.
Yeah, I really like him as a value this year. And you can get him in redraft even in the 5th or 6th round a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So
sneaky value.
Yes, sir. All right.
And for more Panthers news, Frank Reich was interviewed pretty recently, and he was talking about some top performers in spring practice. He didn't really give out a ton of names, but Jonathan Mingo was one of the few that he did say were standouts.
I like Jonathan Mingo a lot, but I don't like him for immediate production. Even though he's just competing against Thielen and Shark and Terrace Marshall right now, not heavy competition. But it's going to take him a while to get acclimated. I like him as the long-term play because even though Thielen got signed to 3 years, I don't realistically see him keeping up production for anything more than maybe a year. And then Shark's only signed to 1 year. I believe Terrace Marshall's on the 3rd year of his rookie contract. And Mingo and Bryce Young just got drafted together. They're going to continue to grow and develop that connection.
I think he's going to have more of an immediate impact. I mean, look at the other guys, the other rookies that are went ahead of him or going ahead of him. Quentin Johnson going to have way more competition for targets with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams there. Zay Flowers got Mark Andrews, OBJ, Rashad Bateman. I think when it comes to me and being able to make an immediate impact based on the guys that he's already going to be around, I think Mingo's in a pretty nice spot. So I'm hoping he falls to me in the early 2nd round, actually, of our startup draft. But I'd be happy with, Kendra Miller, one of those guys as well.
You mean rookie draft, right? Not
startup.
Yeah,
not startup.
Just got to make sure.
Rookie draft, yeah. They're doing so many startups lately.
So many.
Startup season over here.
Hard to say no.
I personally think he's not going to have much of an immediate impact first year, like Dan said. Chark and Thielen, they're going to take, I think, a good amount of the targets. And Bryce Young, it's his first year. I'm not, saying anything bad about him, but quarterbacks take a little bit to develop as well as Mingo does. So I think just the combination of young bucks and there being some seasoned vets in the wide receiver room is going to really lower his value. I mean, or lower his production this year, but I think like next year he's going to have great off-season value because he's not going to have produced enough this year. I feel like for people to really be like, oh, early second round was worth it, because you know how people are with the market; they falter very quick.
True.
I agree with that.
Next year.
Yeah, right. And then in some good news, Foster Moreau announced that he's in full remission from his lymphoma treatment. So, or from lymphoma. That's a good news.
Yeah.
Obviously, good fantasy wise. He seems like he could be ready early season, maybe not week 1, but I mean, it's looking like he's going to be able to play at least for part of the season.
Right. Great.
He's got you able to pick up on waivers in most dynasty leagues, I feel like.
Yeah.
I've seen him as free agent in a couple of my leagues.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear. I don't know how much I would really want to roster him now.
I would.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have significant value, but I'm happy for the man,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'd be interested if he was still on the Raiders, to be honest, but there's too many mouths to feed in that New Orleans offense. I think he's going to get dwindled out there, more of a blocker.
Right. If there wasn't even like Taysom Hill just vulturing touchdowns every once in a while, like he could maybe be leaned on as like a DFS play every once in a while if you could hope that he could get a touchdown. But he'll probably still be behind Juwan Johnson. Michael Thomas is still a great red zone threat. Chris Olave's a beast. And then they got 3 good running backs now. So we'll see how it goes.
He might have that chemistry with Carr, though, that could lead to something. So.
That's true. That's true.
That could.
Both being from the
And he is
Raiders.
prime tight end age.
Yeah.
All right. And then we, on some not so good news, Hassan Haskins was recently arrested and jailed. So I don't want to go too much into details because they're not fully out yet. But if he, gets suspended from the NFL, I think that kind of leads him to being done. I don't think he's going to be given the shot after that. Whether or not he legally is in trouble, I think that's just kind of the killer to a guy's career.
Yeah, it's pretty bad news based on the limited details we have. It sounded like a bad situation. As far as fantasy goes, I just think this locks up Tyjae Spears as a top-tier handcuff. It's tough hearing the news, like the Titans just drafted him, and then I think it was Rappaport who dropped the news that he doesn't have ACLs. Like, 2 ACL tears, and they didn't repair correctly. So I guess you can't tear what you don't have. There's no ACL to tear, so you can't have an ACL tear.
He seems to be doing just fine.
I mean, he had great production. I like his tape a lot. He is incredibly quick. He sees the hole quickly, and he doesn't waste time getting through it. And this was a draft class with a lot of smaller backs towards the back end, and he's got a decent size for his speed. So I think that he's
if that ACL news didn't drop, he'd be right up there with Miller and A-Chain for me.
100%. Yeah, easily early second of rookie drafts, and arguing to creep into that back half because Henry's on the last year of his contract. There was already rumors that they were trying to trade him this year. So I really think it could be Spears' room to take over next year. That has a lot of value. They love running the ball. They do play good defense. So I don't know. And I don't trust Will Levis for the future. So.
And then a surprising piece of news that there's, surprising to some, maybe, but that Tim Patrick is believed to be the best wide receiver in the Broncos building. And that's coming from inside the building. So not just some fans or something doing that.
That's true.
Legit people.
I was surprised. I was very surprised to read that.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I
I
mean,
don't buy
I'm Jerry Judy truther, so I just I coming off the ACL injury, especially, I think it's going to be tough for him to produce in such a crowded wide receiver room. They have four wide receivers and also Dulcich, like Judy, Sutton, Mims, and Tim Patrick, and then KJ Hamler's like not great, but he at least has a specific role as a burner on the field. So I don't see him having any fantasy value. Maybe at most take a late round flyer on the guy if you want to try. But I would much rather go with a younger wide receiver that has promise to build into something.
Yeah.
Patrick's 29. I just and his name's Tim Patrick, man. The
Mhm.
fantasy footballer said it right, but trying to market him as Fireball Jones. It's just got a boring production, boring career arc. I'm not taking him on any of my teams.
Yeah, me neither. You can stay on the waivers for me. I mean, at what point do you start taking him though?
I'm not taking him though. It's got to be a deep
No matter what,
draft.
he starts putting up
It's
20 points a
pretty
game.
much. I mean, I got Jerry Judy on way too many of my rosters, and I'm not trying. As much as I believe Russell Wilson taking a step up with Sean Payton at the helm now, I don't think it's going to be enough to start supporting a potential wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
The fantasy relevance.
I mean, he's going like in the 22nd, 23rd round though in drafts. So you don't even think that's worth it?
It's free.
I guess it depends on the roster build. If you're really at that point in the league, or in that point in my drafts, I'm really trying to get guys that have a bright future rather than like 'cause at that point you got your starters. How many times in the next season or two are you going to start Tim Patrick? Maybe on a bye. It's just not going to be very frequently.
Yeah. If he puts up over 15 points though in 2 out of the first 4 games, I might try to pick him up.
That would be. I think you would need a couple touchdowns in those 2 games in order to get him there, but we'll see.
We'll see.
And then another smaller piece, Damian Pierce has reportedly improved in his pass blocking this offseason, which is a pretty good sign fantasy-wise. I mean, he'll be in more third down schemes, more passing schemes, which will, it's improved blocking, but that should lead to more pass attempts going his way as well.
Yes, sir. So I looked at this up on PFF. The Texans had 639 dropbacks. He pass blocked on 55 of those. That is incredibly low. He ran a route on 192 of those. So together, he was on the field for those dropbacks for 38.6% of their passing plays. If he can improve his pass blocking ability and just stay on the field more often, they might give him a few more routes to run. He could definitely improve on the 30 receptions he had last season.
Definitely.
They did bring in Devin Singletary, who I think is more tailored to that type of role. But Devin Singletary isn't a big guy. Not going to pretend to know his ins and outs of pass protection, but Damian Pierce, I imagine, would have an easier time squaring up a blitzing lineman or linebacker. So if he can stay out on the field more frequently, I would see this increasing his fantasy value just a little bit.
Yeah, I love me some Damian Pierce. I have him in a few leagues, and I'm going to continue to grab him and redraft and everything I can. I think he's gonna have he's one of my second year breakout candidates in the running back position. I do think Singletary is going to take away from the passing game and going to eat into some work too, but I don't think it's going to be a huge threat to him because, I mean, the guy just runs people over. He's a maniac on the field.
Yeah, I agree with that. Basically.
All right, and then in terms of running backs for the next piece, we're going to be talking about Breece Hall. Ian Rappaport recently stated that it's looking like Breece Hall's going to be ready at the start of the season. Not sure if week 1, but start of the season usually means within the first 4 weeks. So it's not looking like he's going to miss a ton of time. I think that might shoot him up a couple picks in the draft, an ADP. For redraft, that is at least.
Yeah, I mean, right. It's not going to have much of an impact either way if he is missing time for Dynasty. We're still going to draft him as like a top 3, 4 running back at the bare minimum. Personally, I have him as my running back too in Dynasty. He's just showed so much on the field. He has the breakaway potential on any run. He does run hard. He's like a bigger back, and he's still so young. So I'm still grabbing them early in dynasty drafts where I can. I agree with you though in redraft. Right now, I see him sometimes reaching the early third round, and if by the time we get to actual redraft season, when people are drafting in their home leagues, if we know he's going to be ready week 1, he could slip into the back of the first round.
Yeah. If he's not ready week 1, though, you know that opens up the window for Izzy Abanikanda to just prove why he was highly touted before the draft and before everybody saw his placement, and then he drops back down the ADP. So I think that he's very, very talented, and I think that if he proves why he's so talented in the NFL, and it transfers over to the NFL pretty easily, that he can earn some carries and take away from Brees Hall a little bit.
Yeah, I like Abanikanda a lot. I loved him going into the draft and really wanted him to have a better landing spot. As soon as he went to the Jets, that dropped him down significantly.
Yeah.
Like kind of same situation with Charbonnet. I like Zach Charbonnet a ton, but when you're drafted to a team who just drafted a highly touted running back the year before, your bare minimum going to be with them 3 years. So it's tough to see a big opening for him outside of injury for Brees Hall, and I really hope he doesn't get re-injured. But outside of that, they still have Michael Carter. Michael Carter is still going to be the pass-catching running back. That wasn't Abanikand's game. I think that they could utilize him a little bit throughout the throughout the season with just giving Brees Hall a rest. He is also one of those guys that can break a big run from anywhere on the field. But without any pass catching ability, I don't really see him having great fantasy value for that first 3 years. While Brees Hall is definitely still.
Yeah.
All right. And for news, that's looking like we're wrapping it up right there.
Excellent. All right, let's get into a new segment. So today, you guys are going to be guessing that player. There is a theme here. I'm not going to give it away immediately, but if you guys need a hint, we'll drop a clue. But for the meantime, let's pull up the sheet. Here we go right here. We got you guys, can you see that all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, solid. So, player 1, we have for all of these guys, you can see their passing attempts, pass completions, completion percentage, passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and then rushing ability. These are all broken down over the past 3 seasons. I took their per game metrics and then I extended it to a 17-game season. Here's your first clue. A couple of these guys were injured. That is one of the reasons why I had to do this. They were both 2 of the 3 players missed some time over the last 2 years. So we'll just start off with that. I'll let you guys analyze this a little bit more. If you guys want another clue, I can drop another clue. If you want to take a shot, let me know.
I know Daniel Jones had some sneaky rushing yardage. Sneaky rushing yardage. He might be one of these guys. Missed time. Tua could be up there for me. He's an
Yeah, I'm thinking Tua might be up there.
Which one are you thinking? Player 1 or 2?
I'm thinking middle.
I think it's player 1. No. I'm thinking player 3 maybe.
And again, these are per season metrics. So that would mean Tua would have to run for 217 yards per season over the last 3 seasons.
Oh, okay. Per season metrics. Okay.
Yes. I'm unintentionally dropping another hint by saying 3 seasons. So all of these players have played at least 3 seasons.
Yeah, I'm thinking middle's Tua.
I will say that is incorrect. Do you guys want to go as a conglomerate or against each other?
We'll go conglomerate. We'll go together because
Okay.
I wanted two in there too. I think.
All right. I'm going to say you guys got 2 more guesses as a team to try to nail down one of these guys, and then I'll let you know who the player is and roughly their ADPs.
Do you think Daniel Jones is on here, Nathan?
I mean, that's kind of catching my attention.
I want to be on the other side of this. One of you guys got to create this next time.
Part of me says the 217 is
and then the player 1 has to be somebody with high rushing upside or high rushing usage.
Yeah, the 217 also has a lot of yards. So
here, all right. Before we get our second guess in the spirit of July the 4th, all of these players are quarterbacks whose jersey number is number 4.
So, okay.
I knew I could see the wheels spinning in both your heads.
Watson's 4.
Yeah, Watson's 4.
Who else is 4?
I don't know.
Why can't you pick number 4 quarterbacks?
Daniel Jones is not 4.
Not number 4. I'll give you that. Daniel Jones is not one of these 3 players.
No.
Number 4.
We're going to need a guess here soon, though.
I don't think 2 is number 4. Well, for even another one. I don't know. I don't know.
4. Dak is 1.
Dak is 4. Dak is 4.
Ooh.
Dak is definitely one of these
Yeah,
players.
I don't know.
Dak is
All right, so which of these 3 players do you
Yeah,
think
throws
is Dak?
interceptions. So he's 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think he's 3.
Yeah, he's 3. He's 3.
Hey, we got one. Dak Prescott is player number 3.
Yeah. All right. Shoot, Watson seems like 1.
Yeah, Watson would be 1 because he's got the.
Hey, you guys are on a roll. Now can we guess player number 2?
You said he's number 4?
He is also number 4. I will say he is recently on a new team.
Baker Darnold, one of those guys. I think it might be.
I'm giving a fair amount of hints. I think I'm tapping out on the hints here.
4,000 yards. That's the part that's kind of messing
You guys
with
give
me.
up?
I think we got to go Baker. Or I don't know. It's a Baker. Baker's not number 4 though.
Baker's 6.
No, Baker's 6. Yeah.
6, yeah.
Oh man, is it Kyler's 1?
That's right. That's right. Kyler's 1.
Oh man, Herbert? No. We're on 2.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
All right.
Yeah,
Jason, you give up?
Yeah.
It is Derek Carr in the 4th or the 2 spot.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
would make sense with the 124 rushing yards.
Yeah, he gets 124 rushing yards. What?
124 rushing yards per year. Yes. Is pretty surprising to see that. So, yes, out of these quarterbacks, we have Deshaun Watson going as the QB9 in redraft and the QB12 in Dynasty. We have Dak at the QB10 in redraft and the QB11 in Dynasty. And then Derek Carr as the QB19 in redraft and QB28 in Dynasty. With that being said, who's your keep trade cut? Who you starting out of these 3 quarterbacks? We'll say Dynasty.
Dynasty.
I think you got to cut Carr. The
Yeah.
old aging guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to start Watson.
That's where I lean. That's
Yeah.
definitely where I lean. A little bit younger, has the security in that contract. And then, I mean, Dak still has, I believe, another 2 years on his contract. I just hate all of the coach speak right now. You can't get around that they just want to run the ball more often. The money doesn't speak that way. They bring in Brandon Cooks. They let Zeke walk. They only have Pollard Malik Davis, and Deuce Vaughn. So the money doesn't speak like they're going to become a rush heavy team, but McCarthy calling the shots and Brian Schottenheimer also being the offensive coordinator. Those are the two things that do point towards a run heavy scheme. And that scares the shit out of me, to be honest. So, all right. Sorry,
For
go ahead,
me,
Nick.
I honestly don't know who I'd start between Dak and Watson. Those are two QBs I typically avoid just because,
Yeah.
I mean, Dak throwing the interceptions, he throws way too many. And then Watson just scared me last year. He did not look very good. Yeah, he didn't play for like a year and a half, but I don't think he looked good at all.
So we have the rare triple cut in the keep trade cut.
Yeah.
Get them all out of here.
Yeah, just give me Baker.
Yes, that's who you want. All right. Without further ado, let's get into our mock draft. All right. So we have Evan in the 3 spot. I will be in the 7 spot, and we got Mason in the 10 spot. We will be breaking down our picks as we go along. Yeah. And feel free to comment in the chat who you think you would take at any given pick. We'll be going along. Throw who you think you would like us to take. And at the end of this, I will be putting up a poll with all of our teams on there. We'll see who everybody likes the most. So, yeah, feel free to throw a follow at me at Follow the Volume on Twitter. I'll be posting that later today. All right, boys, you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Get it.
All right. Oh, they saved my guy. All right, so we got Justin Herbert over here. I have to take him. This is probably a biased pick, but I will do that every single time because I'm a Chargers fan.
One of you got to turn off your volume because I'm not listening to that beat ball.
That's you.
Every-
We both have it on. All right, I got mine off.
All right.
And before we get really into it, this one is just a 20 rounder, 1 QB, Superflex, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex.
Good point. Good point. Yes.
Are we able to show that too? Do you guys we got the mocks shown or?
Yeah. So we'll flash it for now. As the board gets deeper, I'll take that away. But yeah, you can see here, this is the roster construction. 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex, basically 2 QB, and we got 10 starting and a 10 deep bench. So we'll get that going. Always tough. I love me some Justin Jefferson. But with Joe Burrow still up there, I think I gotta go with Joe Burrow. So
Joe Burrow was for you.
Kidding. We're gonna go with Justin Jefferson. Let's see how that goes.
Wow, this mock has got you. It's got. You thought this mock was going to go a completely different direction, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I very much thought I saw Joe Burrow on my list for some reason. But let's see how it goes. You know, I feel like in the play it safe, I would probably have taken Lamar Jackson, but not a lot of opportunities to get Justin Jefferson this deep into a dynasty startup.
Not at the 107, yeah.
No. So let's see if we can get somebody on the turn.
With the 110, usually what my go here is to kind of see all the QBs that are out on the board right now are pretty much the only ones that I take in the first, and plus Trevor Lawrence. So what I've been actually doing, and a lot of mine, is if all these QBs are already gone around the 10, I usually take Bijan. That's kind of my go-to this season. But Bijan obviously went before me, so going with
Trevor Lawrence is a great pick, though. I'll take Trevor Lawrence and that upside all day. He's got a great wide receiver core. He's just going to continue to ascend for years to come. So, yeah, all he needed was getting Urban Meyer off his back.
And then people might say this is, there's a better pick out there at this position, but Amon-Ra is always going to be my round take instead of
Love it.
a lot of guys up there. I mean, Wilson is very intriguing right there, but I love me some Sun God.
Yeah, and we just talked about this. Right now, with me taking Justin Jefferson early, we still have Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave on the board. I do like both of those picks a lot, generally speaking, if I went quarterback first. But right now we have this set as a third round reversal. I guess before I go any further, boys, are we doing a third round reversal? That's the majority of my leagues.
Yeah, we can do it like that.
Yeah, that's fine
Okay.
for this one.
Solid. That favors Mason. Evan, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's a fine. I'll still make up for it in the polls. Trust me.
All right. So with that being said, I am going to take Deshaun Watson with this pick. I do believe he takes a step up this year. Definitely needed to shake the rust off after not starting 700 games from his previous start. So got him locked in. I do believe in Amari Cooper. I think Elijah Moore steps into his rookie year self, and Cedric Tillman eventually will be a better long play moving forward.
Yeah.
He's only he's a Browns fan.
Oh, what are you talking about? This Cleveland C doesn't mean anything.
So
All right.
Here's where I'm going to have to just keep loading up on some of these young wide receivers like the Chris Olaves. I wish Waddle fell to me here. That would have been fantastic. I love grabbing Waddle here in the late second. But Chris Olave, I can't say no to it. I can't say no to it. Oh, that's right. We did say we're doing the third round reverse, so I'm not going to be able to talk again here.
Yeah,
Mason,
no.
over to you.
All right, so right here, my team's looking pretty young. So I like, Lawrence is going into his third year. Amon's going into his third year. It's not looking like we got any, immediate threat to where we need to get this team going. So I'm going to kind of avoid Saquon here, even though I don't think Saquon's a bad pick in the early third. And I'm going to take another QB and kind of have this team built towards, the long game, getting some young guys going.
Okay, Bryce Young. I like the pick. I think out of any quarterback, he was the most pro ready. Like all you hear about is his anticipation. He can throw a guy open. He's incredibly smart. I definitely think that despite his size, he is the safest bet. I do think Anthony Richardson is the long-term favorite especially in fantasy. Like that rushing upside is no joke. He's just so athletic, scored above 97th percentile in everything in the combine. He's just an unseen talent, but without him being available, obviously, I think Bryce Young is a solid pick in the third round.
And you're not going to see Anthony Richardson in the third ever.
Yeah, no, and you shouldn't. If Deshaun Watson or if Anthony Richardson made it to me, I would have taken him over Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
He just has that upside, and I really think with James Steichen there, he is going to be in the best possible position to ascend to his potential quickly. I actually just wrote an article on Anthony Richardson, so when this drops, there will be a link to that in our description on this video. That being said, I am up, and I will be taking T. Higgins. I am big on T. Higgins. I don't think there's that crazy of a separation in the metrics that you see between Higgins and Chase. I do think that they make it a priority to sign Higgins along with Burrow upcoming, and that is just an unstoppable force when you got Higgins as your 2 and Chase as your 1.
And I think even if they don't go and extend him or re-sign Higgins, he's going to go become that alpha wide receiver 1 anywhere else.
I don't think he will. I don't see it.
You're just a
I am. Me and T just don't get along. We really don't.
What did Higgins do to you, bro?
Too much. You'll see. We'll talk more about him later. But I'm up here next on the clock. So normally I'd like to keep stacking the young wide receivers, but I don't see too many at the top here. So I'm going to look down a little bit, see where I can get the most value. I love Kenneth Walker here, and I don't have a running back at all yet, but I also love C.J. Stroud and rookie quarterbacks. So I think I'm going to take Stroud instead. just the value of getting a quarterback in the third round that you could potentially have for years and years to come. Way more, and of course, Walker goes right after, of course. So now I'm stuck making this decision here between JSN and Drake London. I gotta go Drake London.
I love Drake London.
I love
just-
Drake London.
I wish he wasn't on the Falcons. If he was taken by a team with another pass-heavy scheme, I think you would see him going up near that Wilson Olave range. He just happens to be stuck on a team who loves to run the ball, and they have an unreliable quarterback at the helm. I think Ritter can take a step up, but we have yet to see it. So, all right. So this happened to me in our actual startup draft. We're drafting against bots right now, so they're just going with the ADP. But I did see this happen in our most recent startup with a bunch of experienced players. People are down on Kyler Murray, and I don't see why. I get he has the injury right now, but this is dynasty. Murray right now is 25 years old. When he's healthy, he's perennially in the top 6 quarterbacks. He is got the rushing upside. He's still got Hopkins leaving does hurt, but if this team really is projected to be a bottom 3 team, they have their own pick and the Houston Texans pick. I could absolutely see them taking Marvin Harrison Jr. next year, extending Marquise Brown, giving Kyler Murray a lot to work with. So that will be my pick right here.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I've ever since after his rookie year, he's always been a first-round pick in dynasties, a Superflex, always. So, I mean, think about it. Maybe, if you draft Murray in the 4th this year and trade him next year, you could be getting someone that people are drafting in the first round.
100%.
25 years old. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
he's done nothing but prove himself. I do think he's a great passer on top of it, and Michael Wilson could step into a solid role. And on top of it, they have Rondale Moore's no joke in the slot. He's incredibly athletic. Even if he gets re-injured, Greg Dortch, he's fine. He's nothing special, but he'll produce enough. And he is also a young option on that team. So I'm very happy grabbing Kyler in the 4th anytime I can. Specifically in that startup, I traded up into the 1st and had the 4th pick. So I had Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert already. And I saw Murray sitting there. You can't ask for a better value, even if he sits on my bench for this year while he gets healthy, and then I trade him while he's healthy for a stud wide receiver plus. I'm happy with that. So, all right. Bring it to Mason.
All right, and then here I'm going to take DK. I mean, he's only 25. I think even with them getting JSN, he's going to still always be a producer. I mean, him and Lockett have done it for years. I don't think JSN really takes his value down at all, because I think Lockett's got one more year. So DK is still, I think, a long call option for any startup. I don't think he's a win now player by any means. I think he's still a great roster builder.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love some DK.
Yeah, I mean, he's a stud. He's got a skill set that neither JSN or Tyler Lockett does in being 6'4" and a monster. So he's always going to be their number one. I do believe that Tyler Lockett has at least 2 years of production left, and then JSN will be running primarily out of the slot during that time. JSN can win on the outside. He has great numbers against press coverage and man coverage. But I agree. DK Metcalf isn't going anywhere. So great pick in the 4th round.
And then, I mean, I was going to take Pierce or Hawkinson here, but bots sniped me. So we're going to keep avoiding running backs and go with Jordan Love's number 1.
No!
Oh, you wanted Stevenson to fall to you so bad.
I was waiting for this.
I
was so ready to make my whole speech okay, we did a great job of waiting on running back, but I am going to grab the running back in the 5th round with Ramondre. I'm tilting now. I got to take a look here at some other options. I was so ready to smash that pick. Okay, Let's see here. All right. That's a big drop down. We're not going. I love Miles Sanders. He's not a fifth round pick quite yet. We were
No.
just talking about him. I think that he will have at least 3 years of solid production. And when looking at dynasty running backs, they're so hard to predict down the road. At least with the new contract, I would be confident in taking him here. But we just have too much longer lasting value with these wide receivers here. And that's going to be why I take Jerry Judy. Love Jerry Judy. If you guys listen to the first episode, you know I'm huge on Judy. Even he's going into the last year of his contract, so if he goes another team, I think he'll be a great producer. As long as he stays healthy, he is going to be at bare minimum a mid-level wide receiver too. He just has to stay healthy for a full season.
All right. I think I gotta give some love to my guy Daniel Jones. I brought him up like I think 4 times during that guessing game that we just did with the QBs there. He's young, 26 years old, still got plenty of time. Just signed a new deal, so he's not going anywhere. Very happy with that pick in the 5th as my kind of bye week out guy. And are we gonna fill in some QBs as we do this draft too, Dan? Did we talk about that?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. So round 7 or 8, we are going to start selecting more quarterbacks. So I've done mocks 1,000 times, and when you do a mock draft against bots, they tend to fill in positional needs. With it being a super flex league, they'll take 2 quarterbacks, and then they will not take a third until the 17th round. And then it is literally a line of red where you just see quarterbacks going nonstop. So as we hit about the 7th or 8th round, we'll start filling in some quarterbacks for the teams that need it.
Well, there's 2 teams that still haven't even taken one, which
I'm
is
looking at that. Yeah, 5 and 9 right now. But you know what? They got 2 running backs, and none of us have taken a running back.
Yeah, not a single one of us have drafted a running
Yeah,
back.
none of us have taken running back yet.
I'll tell you that right now.
It's the strategy in Dynasty. These wide receivers, especially the ones that we have, I don't think any of them are over 26 years old. I think DK is the oldest. And it's just the move. You got a long-term value. They're much less likely to get injured and just cost you a slot that you drafted early. And they tend to produce until they are about 28, 29, and then we see a little bit of a drop off there compared to running backs dropping off around age 26.
Yeah, so, I'm happy if I get a running back on my team to last me 2 years. 2 years of my starting lineups, I'm happy. I don't expect anything more from you, and I'm going to draft them accordingly.
I completely agree.
Pay more attention to the guys that are going to be there longer in the wide receiver and the quarterback room.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that.
All right, I'm going to get shit for this one, but George Pickens, got to pick him. I think it's just a contested catch monster. His highlight reel, I'm a big highlight reel guy, and his highlight reel just brings happiness to my face, and just seeing.
He only has a crazy,
football, like he's just great. He's a great football player. I love him.
His highlight reel is only so crazy because he cannot get separation. He has terrible separation metrics. All we see is him covered, but then he is a big enough body and has sound hands, so he does pull in those contested catches. It does look crazy. I love the highlight tape, but I'm not banking on Pickens as the wide receiver 2 because I do still believe Deontay is the wide receiver 1 while he's there.
Is there separation when he puts him on the ground, though?
Puts him on the ground after the catch?
I don't know how you just can't believe in Pickens after his draft video. I mean, just straight dog type stuff.
Wait, what is this draft video?
It's him like standing in front of he's like right in front of the TV, just like staring at it. Like it's a funny one.
Okay, yeah. I gotta take a look at that afterwards.
I thought that was Garrett Wilson. Was that not Garrett Wilson? That was George.
I'm pretty sure that was Pickens.
Oh, it was one of the 2.
I didn't see that, so I gotta take a look. All right, my guy did drop far enough for me to take him. I will take Miles Sanders here. Got a new contract, bigger contract for a guy going into his 2nd year, freshly 26. Yeah. They're talking about upping the passing game usage, and they were already an effective offensive line as far as the running game goes specifically. So I'm happy having Miles Sanders as my running back one after taking a number of solid young wide receivers. Here, all right, I'm gonna get rid of the players able to be drafted so we can get a view at the team for a minute. I'll pop that back up upcoming here. But Mason, who do you got for your 6th-round pick?
All right. I'm honestly going to go Goddard here. He is 28, but I do think he's still a long-term option for them. I don't think they really got any reason to replace him anytime soon. I mean, tight ends can play for. I mean, he could have another 10 years, so I don't think it's
10 years.
Kelsey's old. You've seen like
Kelsey's
Antonio Gates get
34.
old. You've seen like Vernon Davis, all these old guys.
Guys like Kelsey come around all the time.
Yeah,
10 years is a lot. I like Goddard as long as he's on the Eagles, and through the next 3 years. So in 2025, his dead cap is $11 million. I don't think he's going anywhere either, and I do love him as a pick. I just think 10 years is a bit
10
much.
years.
We'll say.
10 years.
No, 10 years at least, he says.
All right. And then before I take my next pick, we're going to take a moment to stop for a quick advertisement. So it's 2023 and the NFL is king, and it seems like everyone's getting into fantasy football. So why not get the perfect reward for the winner of your leagues? They got the best trophies, belts, rings, and punishment tokens in the game are all available at TrophySmack.com. Tell them your pals over at StadiumRant sent you by clicking the link at the bottom of the article of any StadiumRant article. Dan's new Anthony Richardson article will be posted in the description of this video.
Take a look at that article. I do believe Anthony Richardson should be the 101 of most of your dynasty rookie drafts. That being said, it's because most teams with the 101 need some quarterback help. Most likely you're not the 101 because you didn't have a great running back room. You probably need a quarterback, and Anthony Richardson will be that answer. So take a peek. Go get a trophy at Trophy Smack right at the bottom of that. Subscribe to our news article at the top. And that being said, Mason, who you got at the 7-3?
All right, let me get it. So for the 7-3, I'm still not liking any running backs that are really out there at the top. I guess we're going low running backs here. So we're just going to go ahead and take Amon's counterpart.
Okay, I like me some Jameson Williams.
Back in the Lions receivers.
Yeah, no, I think Dan Campbell's got something amazing cooking there, and I think the ball is going to be spread enough, especially with Goff there. I don't think, target share is going to be a huge problem. I think they're both going to complement each other very well. Different types of receivers don't take away from each other. I mean, I think they could be a Higgins-Chase combo type deal. Not obviously as good, but, that same kind of scenario.
They have very different skill sets. I don't think they're going to take away from each other too much. Jameson's going to be the downfield guy with that blazing speed. Even on his limited touches, you can see that if they can scheme him open, he's gone. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's such a precise route runner. He is very reliable in terms of his drop rate. It's very low percentage. I like the pick. I'd be interested to see if you. Oh nope, never mind. Goff is gone. That'd have been an interesting stack if you could have gotten him later in the draft. But all right. So with me having 3 wide receivers under 25 years old, I am going to go with a more reliable older wide receiver, and it's going to be a nice stack for me. I got Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper now. And Evan. Oh, nice. I was going to try to pick a quarterback for Team 5, so they had at least 2 coming up here.
Yeah, Goff is gone. Pickett's gone. Quarterbacks are actually going well for us. We're not having to plug and play here. I like that.
Yeah, you can take a look at the quarterbacks. I just pulled them up. I do believe Pickett is the best option for a team at this point.
Yeah, no, that was good auto.
Yeah. Solid.
All right. Well, I think I am going to hop on the running back train here. I do love Rashad White this year. Rashad White is another guy where I see him just consuming both targets out of the backfield and rushes out of the backfield and being the 1A with a pretty big difference between the next guy out, which I believe is also going to be Sean Tucker, the rookie running back. I do believe that he's going to be really good. And who knows? If you guys let me, I might be able to sneak him in as a handcuff here pick later in the draft. But we'll see what happens there.
Just draft Chase Edmonds.
Just I don't want him. No, he's still on my waiver wire in both the 2 startups that we did recently, and there's a good reason for it.
Was crazy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, and I think I need to keep going with running backs here, just because
it's the time.
It's the time. Yeah, I'm gonna go with my boy Pacheco here. I'm not afraid of any of the Prince news coming in to eat away at any of his targets, and McKinnon's always been there. Isaiah Pacheco has proven through last year that he only needs 40% of the snap share to be able to put up more than 10 points on a per game basis, and that's all I need.
Yeah, no, that's fair. He's on a high-powered offense. Doesn't look like he'll probably get much of the receiving work with Clyde and McKinnon there year 1. Maybe he can grow into that role over the incoming years, though. I don't think I've seen him have bad hands or run terrible routes. So, and with how often they pass, as soon as those 2 are gone, as long as they don't bring anybody else in, we could see his value skyrocket in the incoming years. All right, so running back that I have high up on my list. And again, it's because I look at running backs in the 2-year window. This guy just got signed to a 2-year deal. We just saw Dalvin Cook leave the team. I'm taking Alexander Madison. Even if he doesn't wind up with quite the role that Dalvin Cook did, I still think that he will easily be a top 15 running back in this upcoming season. Great offense. They do like to pass the ball a lot. With McConnell calling the plays now. So I do believe he ends up with at least 40 receptions. And he's still young. He's still a very young player. I believe he's 25. Yep, 25 years old. So I like Madison a lot as my RB2 in this situation with wide receiver heavy to start.
I'm going to take my first running back as well, and I'm going to go ahead and get A-Chain.
Hey, we all got a running back.
A-Chain.
We did it.
I think he has potential to be their star. Of course, I was going to take James Cook too, but that's gone now. But I think he has potential to be the starter. I mean, even Dalvin could go there. Who knows still? But I think even if he goes there, he'll still get a good amount of touches and maybe not as much as rookie season, but work his way into it.
Yeah.
Talented. He's got the skill sets. So.
Yeah, I think it's a boomer bust play week to week because A-Chain can make the most out of a little. He doesn't need a ton of touches in order to return value week to week. But I do think that Jeff Wilson will end up having the bulk of the carries. And Raheem Mostert also has that same ability in terms of rushing. We could see A-Chain get a good amount of passing work, though.
And then I went Jordan Love with my next one. I mean, what round are we? 9th round? I mean, 9th round, he could be. I mean, he was a first-round QB, sat for years. He's got potential to be great. Will he? Who knows?
I have no idea why his ADP is so low. It blows my mind.
I think people are just shy off him because his few starts he's had, he's looking nothing special. But I don't know if it's just because he's from my hometown, but I do think he's going to kill it. So
you're not alone there.
Yeah.
All right, and I just went in and changed the pick. So with Team 9 here having 2 late-round quarterbacks in Goff and Rodgers, I added Wilson. I'm going to also do the same to Team 8 with them having Trey Lance and Lamar Jackson. Doesn't seem very likely that they would go this late into a draft, relying on Lance being a year 1 starter. I'm going to take a look here.
Then they'll have both the Niners. I think that's
here. Yeah, I was going to say, perfect. We got Brock Purdy. So they have a starter year one. We know Sam Darnold is not going to take over the reins.
You're welcome, teammate. You're welcome, teammate.
Yes, we'll help you out here. Then we'll make it a little bit more fair on ourselves because I would have loved to have Brock Purdy there at the 9 spot just to cover for Kyler Murray at the early part of the season. But we will be
Pretty
fair here. Instead, I will take another running back here, and I'm going to take Dalvin Cook. He's just year after year, he's a stud, regardless of him being 27 years old right now. I'm fine with him being a year one plug-in option. If I need to throw him as my second flex, I can do that. If either of my main starters get injured, he can take their role. But he has been in RB1 in 3 out of the 4 last seasons in PPR. So I'm happy to get that this late in a draft, even if he has a limited shelf left on his career.
Yeah, I'm happy taking Cook a little bit later. I earlier than the 10th round for me is a little bit too much, but he is my the top of my running backs who don't have a job right now. He definitely is the top.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the only other guys are what we got: Fournette, Hunt,
Zeke.
and Zeke Elliott. Yeah, so like
Melvin Gordon.
Cook still had
Melvin Gordon kind of out.
Hey, worth bringing up. Don't forget about. I got all those memories as him as a Charger rolling through my head right now. All
Yeah,
right.
Melvin sent his check in the mail. You can expect it anytime.
There we go. I love it. Look at these running back values though. Like I really wanna try to take some here, but yeah, I'll go Michael Meyer. I'll get a young tight end. I'm not afraid. Normally I would be afraid to go tight ends this early, this young in a startup. But this tight end class is supposed to be kind of like a pretty unprecedented tight end class. There's some people saying that they see about a dozen starters in this draft class. I don't think that's the case. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I can definitely see 5 of these guys being good starters in the future. And then,
Right? Yeah. I mean, we got Kincaid, Mayer, and
Sam Laporta.
and Laporta. Yeah, those 3.
Is a
Yeah,
hidden gem.
those 3 I think are locked in starters moving forward. If nothing else, for their situation. Kincaid's a great talent, and I think the clear tight end 1 in the class. I had that going in the pre-draft process. Then obviously landing on the Bills while they don't have like a stud wide receiver 2, that helps a ton. But I do think that Mayer, he doesn't have anybody else threatening him. So I don't think it's a bad pick this late in the draft.
Yep. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with the value there, and I'll definitely get some more too because I can't have that just be the only tight end I get right now. But I'm gonna keep stacking some running back depth here. Actually, I'm gonna go with James Conner.
Before you make your pick, it's all right. No quarterback one anyways because the bots do what I said they do. Team 2 does not have a quarterback, so I am going to change that for them. They can take Mac Jones. Mac Jones shouldn't be there this late, being young and a starter. So at least they have a quarterback 2 moving forward. Now all teams have at least a quarterback 2.
You're welcome, Team 2.
What's up?
You're welcome, Team 2.
Yeah, you're welcome, Team 2. All right, so I am right now stuck between 2 players, and for me, that is reaching around early on Chigoziem Okonkwo. I personally think that he is a stud and necessary. He's just uber athletic for a tight end, and outside of Treylon Burks, they don't have anybody to throw the ball to. Nick Westbrook-Akine, he's proven that they need more from a wide receiver too. He gets the snaps, and year after year, he does nothing with it. Kyle Phillips could be a solid slot guy, but outside of him filling that role, he's never going to be dominant on the outside, and I don't see him being a big play guy like Chig can with that speed. So I am going to go Chig. The other guy I was looking at was Kendre Miller. Right now, with 3 running backs, though, I feel comfortable enough with my running back room, so I'll lean towards the tight end.
So usually my like ninth, 10 round pick is to go for Sam Laporta. I think he has great value right there.
Yep.
I mean, I think he could evolve into the TJ Hawk kind of role. And even when TJ Hawkinson was traded, they still use tight ends a lot. So I think Detroit tight ends are right in CDC's playbook. And I think that is always a great pick around this time. Um, but I'm going to keep the running backs going. And I'm going to go ahead and take Kendra Miller. I know he's in a crowded running back room, but the other two guys are pretty old. So
Yep.
I might take.
Yeah.
I think he's
Yeah.
more a hold. But and
Yeah,
then
it's a long-term play. One of the other reasons I also went with the Congo over Kendre is because it does have a 16 million, 16 million. We need some beer, boys. All right, clear this down. Happy July the 4th. All
Yeah,
right.
let's go. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Cheers from across the nation, from Seattle to the New York State. All
And
right,
then
so yeah, if Alvin Kamara didn't have a 16 million dead cap through next season, I probably would have went Kendre. But between that and then them signing Jamal Williams to a healthy multi-year contract, like he's gonna have they're gonna have some mouths to feed, and he's gonna have some competition.
yeah. Then I went with Spears as my next one. I mean, I don't think he'll get a ton of playtime this year, but like we said, like we said earlier, Henry was already in trade talks. This is last year on contract. It could be his last year, especially if Titans are not a playoff team. Perfect route for Spears to be a hold 1 year, start the next year.
There could be an opportunity for him too, especially with the news we talked about though this before we started too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, even if he is the RB2, I think Derrick Henry is just going to do what he does always and be the workhorse.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right. Looking forward, I do need a third quarterback to fill in for Kyler while he is out. Um, I I really think that Desmond Ritter has a safe floor and could step up into a role. Just don't feel safe enough with it being such a run-heavy scheme. I think that with Eric Bieniemy stepping in, however, in Washington, that Sam Howell could really step up and fulfill the potential that we saw him have. He didn't stay. I mean, he did go in his junior year, but he was touted as a round one quarterback before his final year, and he lost Daz Newsome and De'Ami Brown going from his sophomore to junior year. That helped him a lot. Even though those guys aren't studs in the NFL, they're still NFL level wide receivers. And without both of them there, he was really just relying on Josh Downs and about nobody else. So I'm happy getting Sam Howell to at least fill in while Kyler is out. If he doesn't pan out, then I just have a young quarterback as my third, but I do think that he can pan out to be at least a QB2.
And you mentioned the guy I'm about to take here, Josh Downs. I love Josh Downs. I love rookie wide receivers or young wide receivers to begin with, but Josh Downs especially. You know, he was a lot of people projected him to be like one of the top 3 receivers taken this year in the draft, and unfortunately he is undersized. But I do think that led him to fall down the draft boards a little bit more than he should have, and I expect big things from him with Anthony Richardson this year.
Yeah, I so early in the pre-draft process, he was being compared to Zay Flowers a lot. I don't think he is Zay Flowers level good. He's not quite that quick twitch guy, but I do think he is a solid wide receiver and will fill in very well in the slot role. I actually wrote about him in that Anthony Richardson article because I think that all of these wide receivers fill their role well. You got Pittman is like the true X. He can do a little bit of everything. Is very successful across all different types of routes. We got Alec Pierce as a tall, field stretching wide receiver, and with Shane Steichen running it, he ran the most run pass option plays in the league last year, and the ninth most play action plays. That suits the Colts very well. With the threat of Richardson running on any play, Jonathan Taylor being a beast out of the backfield, And then you got those two filling that role. And then Josh Downs, he had a success rate in the 87th percentile against man coverage and in the 86th percentile against press coverage.
Whew.
He, he's good.
He is.
He's a good wide receiver. He can run routes. And then with him being in the slot, he isn't even going to have to worry about press coverage too much. He's going to get a free release, and then he can do his thing. And then we'll see if Anthony Richardson can work a little bit on those mechanics to get the ball there on time and accurately, consistently. But I like the Josh Downs pick there a lot.
There we go. I love it. I love it as well. I'm going to go with another rookie here too, Roshan Johnson, taking him above Khalil Herbert, who goes right immediately next. I think that this is Roshan's backfield, and it's probably foolish of me to think that already, but I think that he has the talent to be able to take over Khalil Herbert. They never trusted Khalil Herbert to take a ton away from David Montgomery when he was there too. So I just think Khalil Herbert's going to see the same usage, similar usage. I don't think he's going to be taking a step up, but just kind of moving in the same direction.
Yes, I agree with that. Khalil Herbert would have been my next pick. I am going to give Team 4 a quarterback. I am not going to take Khalil Herbert. I'm not a scumbag. But they don't have a quarterback 2 outside of Will Levis. So we need to get somebody in there right now. I'm thinking Desmond Ridder is that guy.
Yep.
And then as well as Team 5 here, I'm also going to give them a quarterback again, just so we don't have this crazy run going at the end. They had a couple of younger quarterbacks. Not a couple, just pick it. But we'll give them Stafford for now. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I am going to take another wide receiver. I think that he is being slept on, and he's the guy that's always been slept on. It's kind of crazy how Brandon Cook's career has gone. I think that being with the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to be a great offense still. I absolutely project them to still finish in the top 5 of points per game as far as just overall points. I think this team is going to definitely need another running back if they say that they're going to be this run-heavy team that we've talked about already. If they don't, then I'm very confident in Brandon Cooks finishing as a top 36 wide receiver. If they do end up adding a guy like Cook, Fournette, Zeke's clearly not going back there, but maybe Kareem Hunt, then maybe I'll get a little bit nervous about Brandon Cooks. But with him as my wide receiver 5, I think he will outproject that in his first couple seasons with them.
For mine, haven't taken a receiver in a while, so I'm going to go ahead and take Sky Moore, who I think has great potential going in the 12th round. I mean, last year people were drafting him, what was it, like 108, 109 in rookie drafts? I mean, he showed that just enough shows to everyone the potential he has. The Kansas City wide receiver room is pretty dry besides the GOAT, Kadarius Toney. But I mean, it gives a lot of room for Sky Moore to evolve his way into a potential wide receiver 1 or 2. And I think 12th round is great value for him. Then,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. And then as my next pick right here, I like personally locking up 4 QBs. I already got 3. So I'm going to take Garoppolo and Morley. At that point, that's more for trades because there's always going to be people who are desperate for a QB at some point in the season who are trying to make a push for playoffs. So that's why I kind of always like getting an early 4th QB or something.
Honestly, without the injury scare, I like Jimmy G a lot. I think that the wide receivers that they have on that team very much suit his skill set. Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Hunter Renfrow, none of them are deep threats. And that's not Jimmy G's skill set anyways. They both do a great job of getting open early in their routes. They're very quick twitch. So I think it suits him. It's just the injury, man. Like, if he's not ready to go, then they've already talked about how they designed that contract to be such an easy way to just release him and move on. So I never end up taking him here in drafts. Um, but I do think if he ends up being healthy, that's an absolute steal. All right, so for my pick, I have it's between two. One of them could be an upside long play if he ever was to stay healthy. The other guy has a locked up role with Javonte Williams being out, and that's who I will take. I'm taking Samaje Perine over Rashad Penny. Penny only has the 1 year contract, but he is by far the best pure runner in that group of running backs they have. I could see him getting re signed to an incentive heavy deal in the future if he is to prove himself this year. And if he stays healthy, he could absolutely put up numbers behind the projected number one offensive line in the league. It's just too much of a risk for me. P. Ryan is still 27 years old. We know Javante is going to miss at least half the season. And we know that Sean Payton has always used the two running back system. So I do see P. Ryan still having receiving work when Javante Williams comes back. So I like P. Ryan this late, and especially as a running back four. I think he could be started sometimes despite being a running back four.
Yeah. P. Ryan, I didn't know how much he was signed. He was signed to more than Singletary was signed, I believe. If
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, more years and more money, I believe.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with
2 years,
my
7 million.
my outlier for you guys in our wide receiving ranking show yesterday or last week. Michael Thomas and Mr. Consistent. I'm going to go with him.
Your fake laugh is what got me there.
No, but I do think that he actually, could he actually stay consistent this year? He's going to be a wide receiver one, and getting that in the 13th round is, that you don't see that too often. Next guy, I'm going to keep loading up the wide receiver room here. I'm going to go with rookie Tank Dell. I love Tank Dell. Led college in all receiving yards and touchdowns last year, and I think that he's just a very crisp route runner, very undersized as well. So I am aware of that, but I just don't think it's going to make a big a difference for him too in terms of translating to the NFL.
Very nice. Yeah, I think Tank Dell is a great pick. With an undecided wide receiver room, I do believe Nico Collins will emerge as the Alpha X. But after that, you don't have a lot of sound players. John Mechie could fill the wide receiver two role, but that's still to be seen. He didn't have great separation numbers in college. He was leaned on at Alabama, but they didn't really have a lot of great options outside of him and Jameson Williams. So I like the pick. Before we go any further, let's do a little recap of our team so far. Evan, you want to kick it off from the 3 spot?
Yeah, so from the free spot, I got Justin Herbert, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Chris Olave, Drake London, George Pickens, Michael Meyer, James Conner, Josh Downs for my flex, CJ Stroud for my super flex. And then we start the bench here. We got Daniel Jones, Roshan Johnson, Michael Thomas, Tank Dell, just a few spots left. And we're getting towards the end of the draft here. So this is where I'm going to be going after like some good handcuff players for my team, or some players that are, some youth long shot players.
How you feel about your team so far?
I feel like it would be a team that I draft normally.
Yeah, I do see that being in all of your dynasty leagues with you. You definitely go for the younger players across the board.
Yeah.
I was pretty shocked with the James Conner pick, to be honest. I love James Conner as a dynasty pick. I didn't see that coming from you. But outside of him and Michael Thomas, you don't have any old players. So you got a great youthful foundation, a lot of guys that will continue to build their value as they go on. And I know that's how you like to play Dynasty. So
100%.
All right. So for me, my 3 quarterbacks, I have Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, and Sam Howell filling in while Kyler Murray is out this season, or for the first chunk of the season. For my running backs, I have Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, Dalvin Cook, and Samaje Perine. For my wide receivers, I have Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Jerry Judy, Amari Cooper, and Brandon Cooks. That is the bulk of my draft right there. I feel great about those guys starting for me. Definitely, I go more towards a win now team. And then for tight end, we have Chigoziem Okonkwo. So I definitely have a little bit more of a balance between older and younger players on my team, mixing in guys like Cooper, Cooks, and P. Ryan. I have some guys who I believe will contribute to my team immediately. I don't have to worry about having injury scares here or there because all of these guys can contribute right now. And then, I mean, we still got our rookie picks going up if this was to be a real dynasty draft. You can find guys to fill in for older players as you go on. So that's another reason why I never mind going win now. All right, Mason, what we got here?
So for mine, the quarterback situation, we're looking at Trevor Lawrence as being our QB1, and then for the QB2 slot, we got Bryce Young and Jordan Love kind of switching off two young prospects. Just, Bryce Young being a rookie, Love gotten a lot to prove. Um, I think those are great to have as that second option. One of them turns out good, you're in good looks. And even I got Jimmy G as a trade piece pretty much, or if this team were to make a run into playoffs, maybe playing him. My wide receiver room is going to be more my strong point. I got Amon St. Brown, DK, Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, Sky Moore. Those are going to be my main five. My top three, are going to be my strong, like Amon St. Brown, DK are guys you never sit. That Watson, Jameson, could be improved a little bit, but a good wide receiver three flex situation. Got Goddard as our tight end. And then our running backs, we got only three, but they're three rookies, and that's what I love because with rookies, potential is always there. This is pretty much the type of team I like to draft. Just go after these really young running backs. It takes us one or two of them to prove themselves. And, like Damian Pierce was a 6th-round pick last year. Some people were sleeping on him. He did great and is now some people he's an RB2 in most leagues.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely see this of our three as the upside team. If all of the players you drafted hit on their upside, you could be an unstoppable team. A-Chain, Miller, Spears, if they all end up filling the role and taking over as RB1, they're all going to be studs. Jameson Williams, we have yet to see it on an extended time, but he is insanely talented and just so fast. It's going to be hard to stop once he finally does get healthy. And then I personally don't love Watson as much, but again, undeniably so incredibly athletic, especially for what is he, 6'5", 6'4"? Like he's
Something like that.
so big. And if Love doesn't end up working out, they're gonna get out of that contract quick. And I don't see LaFleur being the guy that sits around waiting for a guy to develop. I think they'll go and try to trade for a stud immediately. So a lot of upside in that team. All right. Back to the draft. Let's see what we got on the board. I am looking at my tight end room right now, and as much as I like Okonkwo, I need somebody else to back him up. So that is why I'll be going with Trey McBride, another younger, highly drafted tight end. Zach Ertz just had that big injury at the end of the season, most likely won't be back. He's saying that he isn't going to put a timeline on anything. So I do believe Trey McBride takes a big step up, especially with Hopkins leaving the team. So I'm comfortable with him as a tight end too.
All right. All right. So we got a couple more rounds coming up. We are a little over time. So I think now would be a good time where we're going to kind of speed things up. Just kind of get this through these things so we can get some other shows going. But And I think, these leader picks don't necessarily take as much explanation as well. Um,
This is true. They're more deep shots.
yeah. But I'm going to go Deuce Vaughn, I still think is a great pick. He got that backup potential for Pollard this season.
That
And,
dad calling him for the draft call pick was unbelievable video.
I was gonna bring that up if you didn't, dude. That was
oh, yeah.
that was an
That's why I'm
awesome
drafting
moment.
him, too.
Yeah, just for that moment. Oh yeah, I mean, Vaughn produced a ton. It's just he's just undersized. That's all it is. If he was a bigger back, then we would see him going much higher. But at 5'6", 176, it's tough to see him as anything other than a receiving option.
All right. And then, sorry, give me 1 sec. And then I'm going to go for my next one. I'm going to go Dwayne McBride, which I just think he's a good pick with the Cook release. You know, who knows how long they're going to roll with Madison Truly. Maybe he evolves into something. It's more an upside pick, not a lock or anything.
Okay. All right. Let me take a look here. All right. That is tough. I'll end up going with Nico Collins. We talked about him earlier. I do believe he ends up as the Texans wide receiver 1. He is still incredibly young at 24 years old right now. Big-bodied guy, 6'4", 215. I think that he really can step into this wide receiver 1 role and produce now that he has a better quarterback than Davis Mills.
I'm liking some Romeo Dobbs. Apparently, based on offseason news, going to be Jordan Love's QB, wide receiver 1 target. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see about that though. And then I'm going with Michael Wilson, who I believe will be a huge, huge red zone threat for the Cardinals this year, and I think that he's going to have a lot of opportunity. And he's a steal in the 16th round.
I like that. I like that. All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna go with a guy that, despite him only having a year most of potential in this offense, I do think he gets the bulk of the carries as long as he doesn't get Dalvin Cook joining his team. If he does, then I have a great handcuff right now. But I will take Jeff Wilson. I do think that the Miami offense is still going to be very high powered as long as Tua can stay healthy. And now they got a much better backup in Mike White. I think this offense can stay running even if Tua takes another unfortunate concussion. But yeah, Jeff Wilson still only about 27-year-old. Yep, 27 years old. So I think he gets the bulk of the carries, even though A-Chain has joined the team.
All right. I'm going to take my second tight end, Irv Smith. I mean, obviously, we all know the potential that he was talked about for years. Injuries hindered that very, very bad. I mean, he plays well when he's been healthy. And it's not like he switched teams, but he went to Cincinnati, who's got one of the best arms in the league. So it's not like he switched it up to some team with no quarterback. I mean, he's got potential to, I think, break out in the team he's on. I think he's a steal in 16th round.
Yeah.
I mean, he could get again and, same mold, but
it's a great late round flyer. Irv Smith having the athleticism that he does, stepping into Hayden Hurst's role right now. Hayden Hurst was fine. He's not like a guy you're seeking out to draft, but last year in that offense, he was a solid tight end too. And as your tight end 2 behind Dallas Goedert, I think that's a great upside pick.
No, my backup, but when you got Goddard, it's all looking for upside.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'm going to go Evan Hull because JT's a workhorse, and workhorses can only take so many hits.
You're big on Evan Hull. I saw that in your rankings. Again, that'll come out next week. Look for our episode again on Tuesday at 7 p.m. But little inside baseball, I saw your Evan Hull ranking, and I was pretty shocked by it. So I think he could take over in that Nyheim Hines pass catching role. But other than that, I don't see him seeing the field too frequently.
Yeah, I think it's more banking off of, like I said, Taylor is the workhorse. Injuries do happen. He needs a backup.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I was banking on this when I took Sam Howell. Um, there is the rumor of the QB battle. I don't see that being a big threat to Sam Howell. I think they want to develop him more than they want Jacoby Brissett to step in and win a couple winnable games throughout the season that maybe Sam Howell doesn't get year one. But should he be the quarterback, he is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. Outside of Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, he is the highest paid backup in the NFL. And he did a great job in Cleveland. We were the 11th ranked scoring offense last season while he was at the helm. Deshaun Watson stepped in, and we took a nosedive down from where he was. So I think he can support, and with wide receivers like McLaurin and Dotson, should he step in, he could still be a serviceable quarterback for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I got to do something with this tight end depth that I have here. So I'm going to go with Gerald Everett. Great late round. I'm a Chargers fan, so happy with that based on that alone as well. But they only have him and Donald Parham. I really don't see that being too much of a competition for him. And I think Everett's gonna be able to produce somewhat reliable numbers on a regular basis with
Yeah.
Everett.
I like Everett a lot.
And then here I'm going to go with long shot at the value, going with Stenson Bennett, the two-time national champ. Don't let people forget it. But
Yeah, in case y'all saw me spazzing out over here, that was me getting sniped on the Tyler Higbee. I was very much anticipating him lasting until this round. With Okonkwo and McBride being two younger tight ends and nobody being a reliable receiver option on the Rams outside of Cooper Kupp, I was very much expecting Higbee to make it to me for one reliable season. He was the tight end 6 in PPR last season, and I figured if Okonkwo and McBride needed one more year to step up into their role, I could have Higbee fill that role for year one. I'm screwed. Screwed wasn't the word I was gonna say, but we're live here, folks. So, um, all right, watch me live tilt. All right. So instead, I will go with Pierre Strong. I do like him as the lightning to Stevenson's thunder. I think that he shows a lot of top tier athleticism coming out of the running back position. I'm blanking on his 40 time right now, but I do believe it was sub 4.4. And the Patriots like to split things up as much as I hate it. And as I still think Stevenson will still be a stud. I think that Strong has some long term value. So I'll take Strong.
All right. And then here I'm going to go ahead and take Shakir. Like we stated before,
man.
have that for sure number 2 wide receiver. Get another upside pick.
Yep.
So I'm pretty big on the upside. But yeah, I mean, I think in this round, any guy that you can take that could be a potential wide receiver too. I think Davis has the wide receiver too, but I mean, hey, you never know.
Yeah.
And then
no. Sorry, go ahead.
My next one. Take it away, Evan.
Come on! You're not even gonna let me say his name? Oh. Well, you do that smart move. I mean, you wasted your pick with Sky Moore earlier, so it makes sense to make up for it with that wise decision in the 19th.
Oh, he didn't say it.
No,
I'm proud of you.
I know. I was
proud of you. I was ready.
I was flirting with
it. All right. I do wish Nakua got back to me. I would have taken him. I wouldn't have taken him if I had Higbee, but with not having Higbee on my roster, I would have liked another option at the second receiving option on a Rams team. But right now, I will take Jelani Woods. Dude's 6'7". The red zone opportunity is just going to be insane with this guy. I think Mo Alley Cox just has this one last year with the team, and then he will take over as the primary tight end role. And if Anthony Richardson can step up his passing accuracy like I do predict him to, I think that Jelani Woods will be a great red zone threat for years to come.
All right. I'm gonna buy into this Paris Campbell hype a little bit, saying that he's going to be used all over the field, most targeted wide receiver on the team. I don't exactly think that that's going to happen, but I'll buy in enough to take him in the 19th. Why not? Why not? And then I'm gonna go with who do we want here? Let's go with another tight end. We're gonna go Tucker Kraft, rookie tight end.
Kraft, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I like Luke Musgrave a lot more than him, actually. But
Right.
I mean, we're talking 20th round here.
That's fair. That's fair. It's very late. He's still young, and I haven't seen any reports saying that Musgrave is the
No.
standout of camp. He's
Yeah.
got the tight end one position locked down. I do anticipate him locking it down, but it's not written in stone. So I think that's a big upside play, and that's what we're about here in the 20th round. So that being said, I am also going to go with an upside play. I do believe Mac Jones will keep his spot as the starter. He is enough of a system quarterback. He's reliable. He's smart. He's accurate. He just doesn't have the upside. Bailey Zappi at least has that big arm. He's super young still. And should they decide to move on from Mac Jones, I think he's at least another good quarterback that I can back up this roster with. Should Sam Howell not end up panning out, and Brissett's not more than a 1-year option. So Zappi will be my pick here.
And then I think for the last pick, I'm going to go ahead and just take Zach Ertz because I think he's still the talent is there. He's just old.
Super old.
Yeah.
Can't complain with that. Can't complain with that. All right.
I mean, it's the 20th round. I'll take the talent.
And then
All right.
we just run the poll on Twitter or something and then post the results maybe next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna put I'm gonna put the poll up on my Twitter. Again, that is at Follow the Volume.
Yep.
There will be a poll up there. It's spelled exactly how it sounds. Come give me a follow and put your opinion up there. Shoot a comment. Tell us who you think we should have picked, when we should have picked them. But this has been fun, guys. I think this was a great first shot at our mock drafts. We'll get more into our ranking episodes. Next week will be running back. And if we get some comments saying so, we might have to see how often we're plugging in these mock draft episodes.
Yeah,
I enjoy them. I know fans like to get into the mock drafts. And next time, I think we're going to look to fill up these mock drafts with people. So
humans outside of the July 4th when nobody's available. So
exactly. So another reason, I'll be putting it out on Twitter to see who wants to join us for a mock draft. You guys can get in on the next episode and help us make this a touch more realistic. But before we go, Evan, you got a quick word here.
Yeah, if you did like this show, you should also check out the Sportsmanlike Misconduct, hosted every Wednesday by Carson McKinley. He's always coming up with innovative ways to bring content to this community. So be sure to give him a sub at his channel. Check out his recent podcast, predicting the over-under for every QB's passing yards, which should be interesting. And then we'll leave you with something to think about. It's kind of like a new segment we want to do at the end of every episode. Leave you with something to think about. Guess this player. So this wide receiver was in the top 15 in Fantasy Pros Dynasty wide receiver rankings. He went in the third round of this mock draft that we did. And third round. So clearly young player too. And this player scores less than 4 points in 1/3 or 6 out of 18 of the games in the regular season last year. 6 out of 18 games, less than 4 points.
And he's in the third round of this draft?
Hey, man,
I don't know the answer to this. Only Evan knows. So I'm in with this. I'm going to take a shot at it. We'll see next episode. I'm going to give my guess. But until then, take it easy, you guys. Happy 4th.
All right.
Happy
Have fun,
Fourth.
everybody. Be safe.
Yes, sir.